Okay, welcome to the fourth video, and it's going to be the last video in the main basic videos. These four videos are going to be required for every member. After this, I'll start making more specialized videos that won't necessarily be required unless I say they are. There'll be more for the commanders or coaches and things like that, and talk about that later. I have some ideas, just kind of how to make. I've been thinking a lot about different strategies and how also to apply those, make them a little bit easier for us. But anyway, these are the things you need to understand to work with us. So here's what we're going to do. These are the commands that are going to be given. And real quick, I'm just going to retouch on those. I'm going to start with the move. We talked a little bit about move in the last one. So we really, that's the kind of move we're talking about. This is a type of move. I'm going to encapsulate what we used to call the approach into just move. Anytime we're in a move, we are moving. That's what we're doing. And the Reinhardt is facing in the direction you have the tank that rotates. So you have the tank in a safe position. That's what a move is. Okay. In a move, the DPS should not fire and then try to catch up. They should, if they really want to, run ahead to their location where you're going to kind of pop out. And even if the Reinhardt there, if you have to take a couple shots, there you go. Now you get a couple surprise shots, and it's probably from a better angle anyway. So run to your location first where you should be, and then you can take a couple shots. Just make sure the tank's between you. Okay, so you can go to the last video for that. All right, so hold. We didn't really have this one, and we need it even on attack. This is going to be, imagine Volskaya. The tank's going to call hold at probably choke 1. Okay, Reinhardt runs up and a hold. So the hold is going to be sort of like a move in the fact that you don't want to die. Okay, but like we've kind of experienced on Volskaya, they're running in. So a hold is to hold that kind of area, and you're waiting for something. Okay, hopefully. You're either waiting for someone to pull some people, like a flank on Volskaya, like we talked about, or maybe you're just waiting for a pick. Maybe holding there is the advantage, and you want to try to get a pick. But whatever it is, a hold, you always want to keep a good safe distance with a lot of space. With Reinhardt, wherever you're holding, do your best to dish out a lot of attack potential, a lot of air. Like if so, just talking about like Hanzo, because he's the easiest to talk about. He's a simple projectile hero, or Junkrat, it doesn't matter. But keep a very safe distance, and try and dish your damage up from there. Okay, so an attack has to be at a fairly short range, and an attack is going to be what we may have called initiate in some points. We're just going to say attack, and you attack the location. Sometimes it's a point, sometimes we're attacking a room, but the attack is different than a move. In a move, you're kind of rotating and kind of keeping the tank. In attack, the tank is going to run in first on an attack. So this is usually when you're already set up. You've moved to your point, and now the attack, you're facing the right way for an attack anyway. So now when the tank pushes, he's in front. But if you attack a room, this is where an attack is where you're going to use all your power, all your heavy hitting powers. Soldier's going to run in and shoot a missile. All the things that would be on cooldown. Defend. This is, you pick a location to defend. Pretty self-explanatory. On defense, this is going to happen a lot. Although attack could happen if we have the advantage. We may want to attack. Pretty self-explanatory. And you can defend a point on sort of an attack map, right? You can defend a payload. You could, once we've already established our attack, and now they're just filtering in. We want to defend. We want to move to defend point A. That's totally fine. Okay, pretty simple. Move, hold, attack, defend. There really isn't any other sort of combat maneuvers. We can talk about, if you want to get more specific maneuvers or whatever, but pretend that you're just a cadet and and we're going to invite people later and they are not caught up. So these are really the things that we want to use. This is the terminology we want to use just to make it standardized so new people can integrate super easy to what we're doing. Okay, retreat, of course, we've talked about. Well, I guess we didn't really talk about it in this, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about it. But I know the veterans or the people who've been here for, Veterans Month, but whatever. And then, of course, I want a regroup location to be a standardized command. Okay, and I know we've talked a little bit about it, having troubles with different regroup locations. So command's going to be in charge of where the regroup location. Sometimes that might be spawn, as we've talked about, just to make sure we're not getting picked off and staggered. And one more phase has appeared because I just thought of it, and I think we should add it, is brawl. And this would come into play if, it's just utter chaos and everyone's kind of for themselves. I'm going to talk about some terminology too, like peel. Maybe I should just add that in here because new people are going to want to know that, and I want to keep using it. So peel. Okay, look at all these new things. So let's say that. So brawl would be when you're coming out of if we decide to go one healer coming out of Junkertown on point 1, where we just kind of go into evasive chaos mode. We don't know where they're going to be, and everyone's kind of for themselves because we have a respawn advantage. You should never, of course, do a brawl unless you have a respawn advantage or it's like a control point map. But let's call that brawl. That's kind of everyone's for themselves, attack, kill them. And, we still should be calling out targets. All right, and then, of course, peel. I'm just going to write that down just because I don't remember if I've talked about that. But, of course, peel, you're going to want to have a couple peelers and probably discuss that their assignment is to be the main peelers, and then those will jump back when a healer yells peel, or probably the main healer when they're in trouble in the back. Okay. All right, so we're going to revisit Volskaya because we talked a lot about it, and I want to talk about it in some new lights, and because we still have trouble with it, and I want to make it a little more flexible, utilizing some things that, again, we're doing a lot of trial and error here with plans, but the concepts should be sound. Okay, so drawn some move arrows here. These are all some potential moves you could do, and moves you should be prepared for if the team lead calls them out. And so you could run right of shrine, which I highly suggest. You could run through shrine, which is a possibility. You could run left of shrine. Move left of shrine. I want to get the terminology down. Which, again, I hate just because the defense is always... this is where they're looking primarily, and they have a lot of guns pointed. So, and then when you get there, what do you do? There's the things you can do, okay? You could be really aggressive, and you could attack right away when you get up there. You could move, and then the commander could yell, attack right. Okay. You could move, and then you could make another immediate move. And so move's pretty defensive, and you could make a move around the left of the truck. If there were a bunch of enemies to the left of the truck, you could attack left of the truck. The other thing you can do, we talked about, is hold. You can hold this. I'm going to try and make hold in space because that's what's more important is space. So you could hold this space. So these are all the options I can think of. There really isn't. I guess there could be a bunch of people to the left, and you could make a move to the right. Right. That's it, because you're not going to want to do any of the weird ones like brawl. So those are the options, and so we should get up there and make an assessment. Usually they're all going to be to the right, so we're probably going to, again, I suggest moving to the left maybe. If there's some people on the left, we can attack to the left. If there's one person on the left we don't really want to attack, we want to move to the left, realizing that if we move through someone, we want to kill them. If there's an enemy standing on the street right here, well, the move order, we don't obviously just move around him. We kill him because he's in our move path, whether we expected it or not. I mean, kill him right away. So that's kind of the options and which way is the best. There's some ways that are more often better than others, but, depending on where the situation is, commanders will kind of develop we'll see who starts becoming kind of the better commanders of making these quick decisions of where to attack, where their weak points are. If they got tanks on the left, and they left somebody out of position on the right, we want to attack right. Okay. All right, second point. Couple options. All right, so we talked about the move, moving left and coming to here, and then, sort of making our attack when the bulk of the enemy is there. So that's the real hard push, use your abilities, crush them kind of thing. And then after that, we would probably want to hold that space. Okay, so that's what that means. But really, I'm just interested in the idea, right? If you're moving, and we talked about obviously rotating. So Reinhardt's gonna keep his shield this way, right? So people can run past him, but the DPS, of course, during a move, they're primary. They have to get there first. Rather than, again, I'm just going to say it again, rather than take shots first before moving, you have a longer distance to run. So run, and if you really are that amazing that you can way outrun everybody, just go down here first and get the first shots. I would rather you have to beat Reinhardt up here and take the first shots this way is what I'd much rather have. Okay. And then it's also a little easier to see if you're overextending. All right, so that's the typical plan, but plans get weird sometimes. So move to the point. We're all moving to the point, utilizing the ideas of the last video, but something's weird up here, and there's these little purple circle enemies. There's like a lot of them, and you have to make an immediate move, switch, move right of hut, go around the right, move around, okay, something like that, all right? Or you rent to and this would probably happen before the truck, so you're running up on it. This is, think of Blizzard World, where you're running in, kind of the same idea, to the point where there's a big hut, and left or right, in Blizzard World especially, is fairly irrelevant. They're about the same. And this one, it's a little different because they have a lot more cover over here, so they're generally over there. But again, that's just general. If we saw them all up on this thing, then, move right a hut, and then Reinhardt can go hold. I wouldn't suggest that. I suggest an attack, but those are the options he has. Saying nothing after the move is going to be a bad idea. But we're going to talk about command. I'm going to talk about that totally separate thing. I want the people associated, every single player, to understand these concepts of what we're doing when we say move, which you can look at the last video. Okay, attack is going to be what we used to call initiate. Attack is going to be your big powers. Hit the point with everything you got. You don't have to attack a point. You can attack the ops. We ran right for some reason, whatever. We saw the left was strong. We ran right. They're guarding the ops. At some point we're like, hold, and then I don't know why we're waiting for it. I don't care, but we attack the ops. Okay. The other thing is the move is generally flexible. The move is very inflexible of where the line in direction you should move along, because Reinhardt needs to know where you're going. The attack, if you're here, is a tiny bit more flexible because you don't always want to attack from one angle. Reinhardt obviously is Brigida's probably here. Sorry, he's going here. But maybe you're Junkrat, and so you run up here because you want to attack from this angle or whatever. Genji, you jump on the hut and attack that angle, which is dangerous just because of other reasons anyway, but this is just in general. So you don't always want to attack from this aim angle, but you do generally want to move with the team unless you're the flanker. The flanker won't be subject. The leader or the commander can designate a flanker, and then who's part of the core. Anyone part of the core should be following these commands immediately. Flankers are on their own. Okay, so you don't have to discuss a flank route with the flanker. You should discuss your route with the flanker, but the flanker has his own stuff. He's kind of on his own agenda. He should attack at the exact same times we attack. He should retreat at the same times we retreat. Okay, but other than that, the angles and stuff he takes, it depends on who they are, Trace or Genji, and we're going to leave them to it. Same with Farah. Farah's going to pretty much do her own thing unless there's special instructions.